Welcome to Default to Solve, where we take on everything by default. I am your host, the great Demosthenes, and with me today is our always awesome co-host, Mr. Kyle Nash. How's it going, Kyle?
Going good, man. Listen, I got to tell you, I'm excited about tonight's episode, even though it's not even my selections of movies. You have some good stuff on your list, and let me throw shouts out to the guys at Bearded Wisdom, Seth and Big TJ, for letting me on their show recently. That was a lot of fun too. So check out Bearded Wisdom on Blog Talk. Good times. Anyways.
Bearded Wisdom, I think I could get along with those folks. Just I think I have the proper requirements.
You do. I would warn you that Seth's beard is pretty goddamn epic. So you better step your game up on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with the Jack Sparrow / Riker beard.
He'll pass, but he definitely has the rugged woodsman beard. I'm like, if he made it much longer, you would definitely have the Hebrew beard right there.
But you have to walk around with an axe and flannel? I mean...
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He works all night and he drinks down. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I'm stuck on that. That was. I don't think we even need to continue.
Lunch. I go to the lavatory.
That right there was the highlight of the episode. So,
okay.
So as last week we discussed underrated comedies, and we posed Kyle's 3 choices. If you don't know what they are, tune in to our episode and discover. He picked some really, really awesome choices, and I will say, the craziest thing about it is, especially coming from a movie nerd as myself, he picked the older films than I did.
That's right. Suck it, critic.
Well, you see, the way that I took this, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with your approach. Your approach was fantastic, but for me, older films are it's very easy for a lot of people not to recognize some successful older comedies. So even if you take a comedy such as It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, a lot of younger people haven't heard of it, but it's not exactly underrated because it's a very well-known film.
Let me stop you there. That's a good point, Demos, because when we say most overrated, I made pretty clear my criteria that it usually denoted either a box office failure or not enough hype, awareness, what have you, for how good a movie it was. And so in the case of The Court Jesters, you mentioned it was the most expensive comedy you ever made at that time and was a bomb in the box office. And that's just unacceptable. So it had to make the list. But that's me, guys. If you have underrated comedies that we didn't account for, let us know in the comment section below, all that happy stuff. We will totally talk it up if we find your choice worthy.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. But first, you like and subscribe, and then have at it. I took a different approach, and this was my approach. I think that a lot of people have possibly, arguably, rightly said that there aren't many good comedies made anymore.
We're 2 of them.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, well, I'll take that as a challenge. Let me take a look with one exception. Both of my choices are from the last couple of decades, which I guess is a long time in and of itself. But one of them, which I'm gonna reveal at the end of the episode, I honestly think it's a 5-star comedy classic. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's a tremendous film. But with all that being said, let's fire away. And since I said, I have one that's slightly older, I'm going to start with that. And Kyle, how familiar are you with Sherlock Holmes films?
More now than I was before preparing for this episode, I'll tell you what.
Well, one thinks of Sherlock Holmes, a lot of thoughts come to mind, especially recent shows such as the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, BBC series Sherlock, or the broadcast series Elementary, which brings Holmes and a female Watson to contemporary times. Or one may even think of House, which was a medical version of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Of course, you can go back to like the old classics like Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce's 14 serial films.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. I know I'm totally stomping all over your episode and your most underrated. Do you understand? Like, it's a damn good thing I'm wearing a hat right now because my brains would be all over my headphones. I had not even thought of that. And it's look, I get House as a Sherlock figure, okay? And like hell, he even is British. Like when he pretended to do a bad British accent, I thought that was just him being a really good American actor. No, no, that was him being a great British actor and doing a bad British accent one episode. No, no. I never thought about the concept that what's his name? Wilson. Yeah, Dr. Wilson is
Watson.
and like Merlin up in this bitch. Here you are, Higgins, Figgins, motherfucker. He's Watson, and like, oh my god. You may proceed.
Well, on that, I there's one Sherlock Holmes film that has kind of fallen under the radar, and it's very atypical. Great cast. It's called Without a Clue, released in the late '80s, starring Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley, with a villain played by Paul Freeman, who also was Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is a very intriguing film because it takes the entire Sherlock Holmes lore and kind of flips it. So the basic premise is that Watson is the real genius, and that Sherlock Holmes is a figurehead. He's an actor that's been hired to stand in for Watson's brilliance, because he had at the time supposedly believed that the medical profession would have disdain towards him if he had this kind of eccentric hobby. If there's one word that I can find to describe Without a Clue, is it's warm. I always get a warm feeling watching it. It's not the greatest comedy ever, and I doubt that it would be on any top 100 list. But when you sit down and you actually watch it, it's very there are a lot of dry moments, but there are a lot of very, very clever moments and clever jokes, and the chemistry between Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley is incredible. It really sustains the film and allows it. It's a relishable experience watching Without a Clue. You just recently saw for the first time. Tell me about some of your thoughts watching it.
I'm with you, man. The chemistry piece on Kingsley and Caine is fantastic. I mean, who on earth ever thought that you would have a movie that featured Gandhi and Austin Powers' dad in the same film? That's some mind-blowing stuff right there.
Both facing off against Belloc.
I mean, right? Like, first of all, I know he wasn't the one who got his face melted off by the arc, but how did he survive? Props to him. But look, I mean, let's put it this way. If you were to go and watch the highlights of this movie, any scene with the two of them in it is where you focus. And there's even some scenes where Michael Caine is fantastic on his own. Ben Kingsley is, of course, a fantastic actor. He's a straight man here, and it works very nicely. The opening scene got me. I was in. Yes, there are dry moments, but the awesome of that opening scene helped me keep the faith through the dry scenes to make it through and make sure I sat through the movie to see all the quality comedy there. And it's I had a lot of fun with it. It's not something I would have probably sought myself until you showed it to me. The concept is fantastic, and I'll tell you, if nothing else, check out the opening 10 minutes or so, because there's a lot. Like, if you look at it jokes per minute, like, people look at doing comedy series nowadays, there's a lot going on there. And at some point, it's like the only thing wrong with the movie, it suddenly becomes inconvenienced with having to build a plot, because, hey, we have all these great moments. Oh, hell, we got to build the movie along. But overall, it was really good. I had a lot of fun with it.
I think one of the things I really do like about it is some of my favorite moments in this film are not the comedy set pieces. They're the little subtle jokes, the little subtle lines that can easily be missed the first time you watch it, and then you watch it again, you're like, holy crap, that's the funniest thing in the world. Whether they're making, I don't want to give anything away, but I think like one of my favorite moments is when there's somebody that they're investigating, and Michael Caine is pretending to investigate the scene of the crime, and he's looking through a book.
Don't touch that. There may be fingerprints. The Book of Psalms. As I anticipated. The Bible. All starting to fit together rather neatly, I'd say.
It's a genuine warm feeling that you get when you're watching it, and it also has a fantastic score by Henry Mancini, who also within like this, I think it's between like about 2 years off. He also did the score for another Sherlock Holmes film, which was not a traditional Sherlock Holmes film, Disney's Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, yeah, you had mentioned that before he was involved with that. And I'll say this, for those who heard Demos recite that joke, that's not the pinnacle. That's more where the bar is set, and there's so much that's higher than that. Like, that's not even close to the best gag and the best laugh in this movie. Check it out, folks.
I agree. I don't want to give anything away. Go check out Without a Clue.
Fine.
So now on to some more contemporary films, and this one I was debating to put on the list because although at the time when it was released it was a bomb, it has since kind of grown. It's grown in esteem, and it has had a little bit of a cult following. But by God, I think it's one of the funniest, most clever films in the last the last 10 years. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, starring Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. My God, isn't that? It's a great film. For those who haven't seen it, it's essentially it's narrated by the Robert Downey Jr. character. He is a thief who's trying to escape justice, so he poses quite accidentally as an actor and travels to.
Saying he poses as an actor isn't even accurate. Like, he is perceived as an actor, and then hilarity ensues. He ends up getting mixed up with while he's doing while he's training to play the role that he has been cast in. He gets paired up with Val Kilmer, who's a private detective, and then all hell breaks loose. If I had a choice to say the most quotable comedy in the last 10 years, nothing, not even comedy, quotable film, I don't think anything surpasses Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It is, but it might be in the conversation. I'm not going to go that far, but it was really good. And I'll tell you, let me add some credit to what you just said, because understand, when I heard some of the schmack talk laid down by Val Kilmer's character, aka Gay Perry, holy snap. I used one of them talking to my cohorts describing an executive at work not 2 days later after I saw this movie. It was some of it, like just the schmack talk between Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. was great, which, by the way, who doesn't love Iron Man talking schmack with Batman? Okay, granted, not one of the more popular Batmen, but we'll say Bruce Wayne. Val Kilmer was a much better Bruce Wayne, which, by the way, folks, as lewd and lascivious fourth wall breaks go, everyone wants to talk to my boy Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool because, hey, Ryan Reynolds is dreamy. I'll acknowledge that. But Iron Man was doing that shit long before Deadpool was even a concept as a viable movie on its own, and you'll find out when you see this movie, bitches.
That is the tragedy. If this movie, it came out just before Iron Man had. If it had come out just 1 year later, it would have been a box office smash. But nevertheless, I mean, who knows if he would have done it after.
Now, dude, I shouldn't say no. It should have been a box office smash then. I think some of the material in question might have been too lewd and lascivious to be a true blockbuster, because this is certainly not a family film. But at day's end, I mean, obviously, at this point, I'm with you. I don't think Robert Downey would do a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang now, simply because I mean it's not that Tony Stark didn't get around a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think this is a movie he would touch at this point.
It,
That's right there.
if you liked some of the humor in Iron Man 3, you would definitely enjoy Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And the reason I'm drawing parallels between the two is that Shane Black, who directed and wrote Iron Man 3, also directed and wrote Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And some of the run-on gags from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang find their way into Iron Man 3, specifically one scene involving a tattoo. I'm not going to give any more away. But I'll tell you this. I don't think I've ever seen a film that has made me laugh more at the concept of a dictionary than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, dude, it's not close. By the way, real quick, this is cute that you mentioned Shane Black and that Iron Man 3 stuff. To actually give a bit better meaning to all the folks out there now who are trying to be hip, if you could imagine Deadpool writing a rom-com, I would imagine it would go something like this. And then Deadpool would write himself in as a character. And that character would be Gay Perry. Now, why Deadpool would make himself gay, I don't know. But there you go.
Yeah, I think in the comics, he actually was he played both sides. I think I think he was bisexual in the comics, or there's a different term, and I don't want to get it wrong, but Deadpool is a character that does everything, and generally speaking. Originally, the character of Perry wasn't written as gay. It was Val Kilmer's suggestion that he be gay, and that's when the script was rewritten to incorporate that element, and it's comedy gold. He is fantastic. I mean, it's not. And when I say that, I should preface for anybody who hasn't seen the film. When I say it's really funny that he's playing a gay character, he doesn't play the character as, oh, funny, he's gay, aha. There is a reverence towards that, and it really comes out of the character. It is spot on. It is perfect.
And let me add this for all the social, the SJWs that are about to go after us. Let's understand something. All the comedy of that's involved with Perry being gay comes off as having people who question it or try to make jokes about it, the ones that are ignorant. So it's even very social conscious, in my opinion, to that extent.
One of the best uses of an unreliable narrator, to go back to your point about Deadpool, this film definitely does that a little better. Deadpool did it great, don't get me wrong, but this film, by far, you're always at the edge of your seat. You never know quite what to expect, and when it does segue to a pure comedic set piece, by God, there's one scene involving a bear. I'm leaving it there.
It's not seeing Super Troopers. Trust in that. That's all I'm going to tell you.
So go see Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. If you have, if you've seen it already, see it again. That might as well. The film repeats itself within its own title, so it basically dares you to watch it twice.
Damn, mind blown. Not like House and Wilson being Holmes and Watson kind of mind blown, but still.
Oh, you want me to do a little bit of that? I'll do it right now. So the title, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and the entire plot thread about a series of sleazy book series is based directly on the James Bond series by Ian Fleming. And the original title song for the fourth James Bond film, Thunderball, was Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's an homage to the James Bond series.
If anyone's going to know that, Demos.
And now to our third and final piece. Honestly, I would probably put this film in... I definitely put it in my top 10 comedies from the last generation. It is very cleverly written. It is just a superb script, well paced. There's not a dull moment in it, and it has a thought-provoking message. All, in my opinion, the best comedies have a real slant to them, a true-to-life slant, something a little bit more than a pie in the face. And I can't think of any better film over the last few years that has done this that has played with its social commentary, and has done so in such a brave and courageous way, then thank you for smoking, starring everyone. Aaron Eckhart in one of his best.
Starring everyone.
That's a great cast. You got a lot of at least a lot of comic book actors in it. Funny enough, you got Aaron Eckhart, who is superb as Nick Naylor. Nick Naylor is a tobacco lobbyist, and
When you think about it, Demos,
yes,
me on this one, he in fact alludes to to a key element of the Dark Knight without even knowing it here, preemptively, because he was the villain that Big Tobacco needed.
he was the villain that Big Tobacco needed but didn't deserve. And you would think, okay, so it's a comedy starring Aaron Eckhart. He's a lobbyist for the smoking industry. You would think, just hearing that basic line, you would think, oh, I know exactly how this movie is going to play out.
But you don't.
You do not.
Yes.
This film pokes at many different, really at the base level of it. It's not truly about the tobacco industry. The entire film is about how everything that we experience in our daily lives has a spin to it, whether it be politics, the media, everything. And it does it in such a fun and going back to my original description, courageous way. I honestly don't know if a film like this would fly today, let alone about 10 years ago.
Let me tell you. The only reason why it would fly today is because Trump in office has just let comedians basically do whatever the flying shit they want. Mark that.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because
with it, but you see where you get my logic.
Right? I see your logic, but then when you think about, and this is a different type of comedy, and one I don't necessarily I feel uncomfortable with, but I'm never gonna say you're not allowed to do it. But you take a look at something like Kathy Griffin's latest,
but it doesn't go that far.
Yeah,
it doesn't go far. But like the most insensitive thing they really do is referring to somebody as Cancer Boy, which is pretty.
It takes a few more pot shots. It takes a few more pot shots than that. I mean, when you take a look at, because so it's in many ways this could have been Aaron Eckhart's audition to play Two-Face, because everybody in this film is
dude.
Everybody in this film is Two-Face. You have politicians who are trying to show the dangers of tobacco. And you would think, okay, they prop up a young lad who has been suffering from cancer. He has a bald head. He's put on a talk show, and you would think, oh, okay, well, in any general story, this politician will be the hero because he's trying to expose the evil tobacco industry and show the it's, no pun intended, its cancerous effect on society. And no pun intended. It's.
Please, let's just keep driving.
But then you take a step behind the scenes, and you see that the way that they play with their machinations is just as devious, if not worse, than.
Which, by the way, shouts to William H. Macy in his role as the senator from Vermont. Fantastic work in his contribution to this film, man. Completely like supporting role, all this other stuff. I mean, he's not going to get an Oscar or nothing, but he's going to get a shout out from the student.
But it pokes fun at everything, whether it be film censorship, which is something I'm totally against. There's this gives away a little bit of it, but the real joke is a visual one, so I don't feel too bad revealing this part. But there's one scene where they're talking about, we're gonna go back to classic films and erase cigarettes from all of them, and William H. Macy is saying this during an interview, and the interviewer is like, well, aren't you changing history by doing this? And he replies, no, we're improving history.
So fucking ominous. Mark that. The most ominous scene in that film, to me at least, even with all the other controversial stuff that happens. And by the way, hey, if you think I'm wrong, if you think there's a more controversial scene in this movie than that statement, kindly leave it in the comments below. But the burden of proof is on you. That statement intimidates the ever-loving shit out of me. More points to William H. Macy for being the guy that delivered that, by the way.
There's so much in this film that actually a lot of the things that are played up for laughs in this film have actually transpired. Whether it be William H. Macy at another point in the film, the entire plot is he as the Vermont politician is trying to pass a law that forces all cigarettes to have a skull and crossbone.
No. It's much worse than that. Like, it's got a damn zombie decaying face over a set of skull. Like, skull and crossbones, it's none of this. Like, when you hear that, you think that pirate flag. No. What they have there is much worse. Trust me.
Oh, you know what the crazy thing is? What actually transpired in real life is worse than that. Because if you go to Australia, if you go up to Canada, and you buy a pack of cigarettes, they actually have pictures of like decaying lungs and people with missing teeth and like much more horrific images than what
you had on the pack, right?
Yeah, right on the pack. And now I'm not a personal proponent of smoking, and this film isn't putting the tobacco industry on a pedestal or anything, but it does attack the idea of freedom of choice and individuality, which is something that I do wholeheartedly support. But if you're to get back to what you said about the ominous scene, there's one scene in this film that strikes me as much more ominous, but in a different way altogether. And it's a scene early on in this film. One of the things that this film does very well is that to show the human side of Aaron Eckhart's character, because it's a character that could have easily become a caricature or a stereotype, but to show his thought process. They have a lot of scenes between him and his son where he's describing how he does what he does. And there's this scene where he sits down with his son and his son asks him, well, what if what you're saying is wrong? And they have this faux debate about vanilla ice cream versus chocolate ice cream. And with the son saying, okay, well, the chocolate ice cream is the best. And then Aaron Eckhart does his magic and shows that the argument isn't really about ice cream.
I need more than chocolate. And for that matter, I need more than vanilla. I believe that we need freedom and choice when it comes to our ice cream. And that, Joy Naylor, that is the definition of liberty.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Ah, but that's what I'm talking about.
And then immediately the following scene is them both eating vanilla ice cream and seeing the effect that he has had on his kid and the overall message of that scene. It's a theme that permeates the whole film and actually plays a role in the ending. It's such a great film. It's like I said, it's very well thought out. It's a short 90 minutes, which in my opinion most comedies should probably stay around the 90-minute mark. Anything past that tends to be padding, unless you have a 20-minute credit sequence, which is the bane of my existence when I have to write reviews and wait 20 minutes and then there's no after credits scene.
Films, you're safe, Chief.
Right. No, it's a great film, and I don't feel like I'm doing it enough justice with what we're talking about here. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Funny enough, I don't know if you noticed this, but you notice that for a film called Thank You for Smoking, nobody actually smokes in the film?
Holy shit, you're absolutely right. But
I think there's one exception, and it's when he's watching an old John Wayne movie.
Maybe. Which, by the way, look, can we have a discussion? And if you edit this out later, I won't hold it against you. One can argue it's somewhat politically incorrect. The only issue I have with this film is when he's with the MOD. If you want to find out what MOD means, watch the movie. Okay.
Do we need it for the context of this discussion?
Okay, well, they call themselves the Merchants of Death. The merchants in question watch the movie. And while it's very politically correct in that it includes both males and females, there is an allusion to a reporter having amazing tits. And then you come at me with Katie Holmes. You failed me there, movie. You failed me. I'm just throwing that out there. Carry on, Demos.
Direct all your comments to the SOTG at Twitter, and I'm gonna give you a little plug there. No, so overall, Thank You for Smoking is a great movie. I think all 6 of our choices are very varied, very different types of films, from musical comedies to I would imagine you would describe something like I would consider Thank You for Smoking more of a black comedy, but not as much as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is very much a black comedy.
Yeah, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is far more dark, whereas Thank You for Smoking is definitely satire.
Yes, but when it throws its punches, it throws them at something very real and something that is still as relevant today, if not more relevant today than it was when it came out.
And what I find funny is the darkest elements are the air quotes noble characters, in the form of course, we mentioned William H. Macy already, and of course Sam Elliott as the Marlboro Man. I'm not saying anything else because to do so ruins the impact of the film.
It's one of the highlights of the films. It's if you want to watch a film to teach you how to debate, negotiate, and win an argument.
Yes.
Watch Thank You for Smoking. It is.
You know, if you watched this movie before we did the Rogue One show, you might have won that bitch. I'm just.
Well, good thing I actually did watch the movie. I actually own.
That's a you problem.
I actually own said movie, and which is probably why I won that debate. You know, it's
great.
I Nick Nailered your ass with.
Oh, easy, G. I'm starting to come off like Val Kilmer and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang now. Just saying.
I'm trying to resist. You have no idea how hard it is for me to resist dropping some of those quotes. But
probably a good choice of words, but moving on.
But once again, if you guys have any underrated comedies that you would like to suggest, shoot us a comment. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Let us know. We would love to have a continuing series. I'd love to point out. I'd love to talk about films that fall under the radar. There's so many hidden gems that are worth your time and money as compared to freaking Transformers 27. Or I'm not. Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't review that film. But that's it for today, unless you want to add something, Kyle.
No, man. Hey, look, your movies were fantastic choices. I think I even alluded to it in the previous episode with my most underrated, is that if I had remembered Thank You for Smoking in particular, it would have been on my list. Your choices are great. Yeah, and good times all the way around. I'm also looking forward to very soon having more of these kinds of discussions. We have a lot of stuff on the burner here, man. So great stuff all the way around, man. I love it.
But overall, we want your feedback. So let us know. Once again, in the comments below, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, follow me on Twitter at Default Hilarity and on Facebook, Hilarity by Default. And speaking of Hilarity by Default, check out my site, hilaritybydefault.com. We do movie reviews, we do default Disney reviews, we do 007 on the 7th reviews, lots of fun stuff. Check it out. And Kyle, where can we find you?
Of course, you can find me on Twitter at the SOTG, as I am the student of the game. And I'm also the student of the game on Facebook. Like me there as well. Good times all the way around. Demos, this was a good episode. I had fun with it.
And with that said, we'll see you next time by default.